Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Unusual behavior from wife. Advice. Preface: I work nights and she works a day shift. Her job is a male-dominated field and she seems to be with co-workers more frequently. There is female support staff like office jobs, parts room, etc. We're both in our 40s and have been together since 17 years old. She only started a career in the last couple years, so a workplace relationship wouldn't have presented itself in the past. Here recently, she's been hanging out with her female co-workers after work many nights. She gets off work around 5 and isn't home until about 7 to 8. A time or two she didn't come home until the morning because she got drunk with them and slept it off there. I find that unusual because she's very responsible and doesn't usually get carried away in social situations. At that point, I'm not highly concerned. Last night I wasn't scheduled to work, so I was in bed at a normal hour. I was awakened by her cell phone screen in bed at 3 a.m. I couldn't see if she was texting or browsing the net, and she wasn't being secretive with her screen like angling it away, etc., so that's probably innocuous. Then she got up and started getting ready for work. Now, her shift starts at 8 and she wouldn't need to leave earlier than 7 if she wanted to grab a bite before going in. I asked her, I thought your shift doesn't start until 8. She acknowledged that but said she was going for a walk with her co-workers before work. She's a diesel mechanic and they have uniforms at work, and she seemed more cleaned up than expected for a walk or work. Not dolled up, but, yeah. She was out of the house by about 4 a.m. and would likely be with her friends by 4:30. It's still very dark and it was rainy/drizzling, and about 45 degrees out. Nobody owns a raincoat in Oz, so it would be poor conditions for a walk. Well, she drives a truck and I drive a car. So, I texted her around 5 to ask if I could get the truck so I could take some things to the dump. She didn't answer. 15 minutes later I called to ask. She said they were still out on their walk but to just come to her work when she gets there and get it then. If not for the rain, I would have thought it a good opportunity to see if her hair is damp from a second shower. My brain works a bit differently than most and I'm poor on social cues, etc. Am I overthinking this? Update: I confronted her by asking to see her phone. She tried to flip the script and demand my phone, so I gave it to her along with the password. I had nothing to hide, hell I don't even have time for meeting others. Anyways, I looked through her messages and the one conversation I wanted to go through was conveniently missing. So I typed in the phone number and her boyfriend or whoever's name popped up. I handed her the phone and said I want to see the texts with him. She acted incredulous and I told her some of what I knew, that she texted him before leaving the home today, and when she got back, and that I knew she was with him when she was supposedly in Vegas. She tried to act like she did not know why our phone carrier would have several pages of texting records between her and him. Since she didn't want to do anything other than storm off upstairs and retreat to the bed, I went up and told her I was packing a bag and leaving. I packed up and left. I did the lawyer consult yesterday, and other updates. Long update. Original post. My therapist convinced me not to make any sudden decisions while my emotions are running high, so I took his advice and waited. The wife and I are cohabitating for the kids. Yeah, I'm a sap who's paying for a roof over my STBXW while she's out screwing this guy. She has a separate group chat with the kids and tells them things like she's out with Maria getting drinks, of course at 4 a.m. and she's got to be at work in a couple hours and the bars aren't open. My youngest, who's high-functioning autistic, looks up things like when the bars are open or when the gym is open. So they are now catching her in lies to them. She can lie her ass off to me all she wants, but she's screwing it up with the kids now. Well, after a couple good nights of sleep, I'm not losing sleep over her anymore. I did the lawyer consult. Well, the lawyer says with equal time, child support would only be $42 a month. My wife doesn't want to sell the family home and she wouldn't be able to buy me out and she couldn't afford it by herself. Lawyer says if I wanna sell the house will be sold. So I'm on a bit of a power play here. I've got way more saved up than her, so that's at risk of equal division. However, some of those things, like 401k and company stock, haven't vested yet, and so the lawyer says that's a valid point for not being able to claim them because they're still an uncertainty. She said I could protect all of that by using the house as leverage. Basically, if I opt to continue paying half the house until the kids are grown in 5 years, I could negotiate for half the future equity, and using that as a concession I could protect my savings. It would essentially be a real estate transaction at that point. As far as my personal life, I did crack under pressure from a lot of sleep and wanting to end the grieving, and tried to reconcile with the wife, basically doing the pick me dance. I think that was about 2 weeks ago. I came home from work because I couldn't function. I prayed, never do that, her truck would still be there, and I prayed that God would put a little love in her heart for me. I tried to talk to her but that didn't work. I was pretty pathetic. It felt like God didn't answer. Fast forward to last Sunday. I didn't have anywhere to go, but I told her that I would be out of the house until work, until she can see the kids without me around. She bought them pizza before dipping out again soon after. Well, I sat in my car, reading this forum and that forum and other things. I don't know why, but I downloaded Tinder and set up a profile. I wasn't looking for a hookup and just casually scrolled profiles. Swiping left on everything. Talked to a girl but felt nothing. After work, the next morning, I see a profile and swiped right, again, not sure why. Instant match. She messaged me with "Hello handsome." I'll tell you, it couldn't have come at a much better time to hear someone share kindness towards me. So we talked and it went well. We had well, I guess it's a date on Tuesday night, couple drinks. I was honest with her about my situation because on the off chance this goes anywhere, I'm not gonna start on a lie. She had been cheated on as well and was divorced a while but wanting to date again. I walked her to her car and we kissed. Mind you, my wife ended the marriage, so all we have at this point is a piece of paper. I'm not gonna lie, thinking about this woman and having hope again is what calms my mind and lets me sleep again. Maybe it's God's mercy that he ignored my request and sent someone instead to show me I can be valued by someone, because I do have hope for my future again. It would be nice if it went somewhere, but if it is just a passing moment, I'm still thankful. I know this is all fast, but my marriage was in trouble for years. I had contemplated divorce for a long time but didn't act on it, nor did I act to save the marriage either. Her affair was the final catalyst for ending it, and maybe it needed to happen because neither of us were happy and neither of us were going to end it. At this point, if I was the one being tested, I wonder if I would have failed. I have worried that I'm a risk as far that goes, so I've always kept my distance around other women. Anyways, the happy memories of my wife are all too distant. This all feels like when someone who has been terminally ill dies. You grieve the loss as soon as it happens, but I think acceptance comes much faster because you've been aware of the inevitability of it. Update post. She's still with him. Doubt it's gonna work out for us. Post separation. I've acknowledged I have anger issues and that's what ultimately drove her away. I've actually been making pretty good progress. She hasn't ever admitted to the affair, but I can forgive because of my role in the whole thing. She's told me that there's no hope of us reconciling and she suggested we cohabitate for the kids. Well, I was optimistic that maybe we may one day reconcile. I am concerned that the cohabitation was a compromise she was offering because she was still afraid. So I offered her a divorce if that is what she really wants. She made no mention of it since. I took that to mean maybe she doesn't want that. Who knows, maybe even she was softening up a little. We even took the kids to dinner last night and she was pleasant and conversational, even looking at me while talking. I really thought maybe the ice around her heart was melting. Then on the way home, she took a little barb at me, like to remind herself she doesn't love me. Well, this morning she was gone. I knew where she was. Unknown to her, I know where he lives. I took photos of her truck in his trailer carport before. I don't know why I even bothered, but maybe to get a gauge on her emotions. When I got there, it was just his truck in the drive, but then I saw her truck parked nearby. She didn't know I was there, but she texted me asking if we need garbage bags, etc. I told her we were low and then asked if she was at the grocery store, and if she was to get me some more creamer. As if I believe her. I wasn't getting a response, but soon I saw him pull his truck out of the drive, her truck backed in, and his truck leave. I couldn't get too good a view, but I'm sure they left together. So I went to the door to ring the bell. No answer. I texted her to ask if she got the email mentioned earlier. She said she didn't see it, etc. So I told her what it was and she said we'd talk when she got back. She texted she was at Costco. I said no, you're not. About 45 minutes she texted a picture of the Costco building. So yeah, she just got there and laying down a cover story. I told her to text a picture of the truck if she wanted me to believe her. She said she honestly doesn't care. I texted back, you're a good person and I know you're trying to spare me from hurting even more, or maybe you're afraid of me, and I'm sorry for that. The lies hurt more than the truth at this point. She sent me a selfie of her in Costco. I haven't responded. I'm really conflicted because I've constantly walked out on her and the kids. I don't want to do that again. But at this point, I'm ready to move on. But staying means living with someone I love and her perpetuating a lie to either protect me or because she's afraid of how I'll react. None of this is healthy. Post your petty thoughts. Rant. One of the ways my wife got exposed was she accidentally texted our adult son instead of her AP with the message "on my way baby." Of course her excuse/deflection/dodge was pretty weak. Well, my petty thought was to get a parrot or a cockatoo and teach it to say "on my way baby" so it does it all the time. We cohabitate right now and the thought of doing this amuses me. Update: I think this post was taken the wrong way. I have no intention of doing such petty things. This post was meant more for all of us to share those little petty thoughts we've all had. I was hoping to hear some random petty thoughts from others. I'm in a good place mentally now. I've got good sleep the last several nights. I'm finding things to do like resuming day trading, $2,500 gain from first trade. I still got it, and my therapist has been a huge help. Like I feel we've gotten down to root causes for my own issues in days instead of weeks or months. I paid the retainer today. Update. Yup, I got the ball rolling on divorce now. Cohabitation is looking to come to an end soon. My oldest son, 23M, and I are gonna roommate a place. He's not on speaking terms with his mom right now because of her cheating on me. I'm seeking to sell the house and get my equity. She doesn't want to sell. Problem for her is, she can't afford the payment and won't get enough from the divorce to buy me out. It cost me $2,500. Ouch, but worth it. Day trading is my hobby and I'm really good at it. I'll have more money to execute bigger trades. Also, I've always wanted a 1979 Fiat Spider convertible and never could justify it as a responsible married man. Now I don't have to. So when this is all said and done, I'm gonna be driving around in a car I've wanted for a real long time. I hope the vanity plate statement is available when I get the car. When I walked out of the lawyer's office today, I was hearing "damn it feels good to be a gangster" in my head. I'm wondering if she's gonna go full volcano when she gets served and sees I'm pushing the sale of the house. Dumb thing is we would both walk away with enough cash to get our own homes and she can move him in with her and I can do my own thing as well. What a police investigator taught me about doing the confrontation. Advice. The first thing he told me was, on small crimes less than homicide, the guilty rarely confess, and even if they do, they withhold a lot of information. So even if your partner admits to a one-night moment of weakness, they won't tell you about the 6 months of regular cheating. So, forget about getting a confession. By the time you're at this point, you're ready to press charges, so to speak, and you're just trying to get additional information to be used against them later. He also told me to start the confrontation with "I know more than you think I know, so start talking. The truth is the only thing that's gonna help you here. Don't let on how much you know, this is high stakes poker, so don't show your cards." He also said that even though you're gonna search her/his phone, expect to find nothing. It's either extremely well hidden or already deleted, unless they're just stupid. The guilty will hide their evidence in anticipation of the day the confrontation comes. What you need is to prove that the texts and call logs are missing. You see, you should be downloading the text records and calls from your service provider and familiar with the dates and times. Gaps where they didn't text the person is likely because they were with them at the time. This probably matches an absence. Remember, you want them to believe you know, but without playing out how limited your information is. Rarely will you have proof of them in the act. The confrontation. Ask them for their phone. They will protest this and demand to see your phone, making similar accusations. Do be prepared for scrutiny yourself. As expected, my wife did this, saying, "I don't even know your password, you won't tell me." Keep in mind, the guilty fear discovery. They'll be more concerned about what you're doing with their phone than going through your phone. So observe their level of interest in finding damning info on you. My wife barely scrolled the texts list and didn't even go into the pictures, which many guys keep. She was looking at the phone in my hand as I was scrolling through innocuous texts. "See, I don't know what you think I'm doing." Then I went to the phone icon, typed in his number and pressed the text icon. No messages. Big surprise, right? I went back to his contact and showed it to her and said, "Where's his texts at?" She was like, "We don't ever talk." I called BS and told her that just last month alone she had over 900 texts with him. Where are they? She acted incredulous, but she knew that number was probably pretty accurate. She admitted to deleting them. Partial truth, right? Because they were talking about how she wanted a divorce, but she wasn't ready to tell me yet. Don't give too many details, like how far back you suspect it. You can give a little to add credibility that you already know everything. Knowing how many texts helped me because it was a hard fact and irrefutable, and sent the message I wasn't lying when I said I knew things. What I said above is how the guilty act. See, the guilty fear discovery. They will dodge, deflect, etc., even expect them to tell you where they went, but remember how much they tell you. If the details are vague and reaching, keep pressing for more information. Many lies are only minimally planned. They might be able to tell you about going to the bar with the friends, but they won't have much details, like how someone almost got punched, or who won at darts, etc. Spouses will tell you about their fun night with friends voluntarily, but the guilty spouse will want to know why you keep asking. As I said, they already know the confrontation is coming. So they're already planning their response. They're thinking to themselves, how would an innocent person handle this? This even goes for calling light attention to themselves. My adult daughter called my wife and accused her first. Wife then told me about the confrontation. 2 reasons: she had to talk to me first to steer the conversation in case daughter called me. But also because the guilty think if they stand in the light a little, that the attention goes away. I was stupid and should have asked why our daughter thought that, like what specifically she said, etc. I should have even called my daughter. How would your innocent spouse respond if talking to you about someone else's accusations against them? They would likely welcome an opportunity to give unsolicited explanations in detail because they have a clean conscience. Now, think about how an innocent person handles the confrontation. They would likely be annoyed that you want to see their phone because there still is some expectation of a minor level of personal privacy. They would still surrender the phone without much fight. They would be confused more than anything, really. The innocent don't try to deceive and don't certainly rehearse it. Also, remember this: the best lies have some truth mixed in them. My wife claimed she was alone at the tattoo shop getting sketches done. But she didn't come home with any sketches, she didn't take pictures of them, and had very little detail. She showed me online pics of what she wanted. Her appointment was at 1, but she left the house at 11:30 and would have only needed 45 minutes to drive there. She came home about 6. Now, I believe she went to the tattoo parlor that day. But, I believe she went to his house first, they went together, got an appointment card for another appointment, future alibi? Maybe had a nice lunch together, and then went back to his place for a romp and then came home. It was that evening I confronted her. So don't expect just because they can prove their whereabouts, doesn't mean they can account for all the time easily. She said traffic was really bad, but no details about the crash like a blue Honda flipped over, etc. She also said she went to Home Depot looking for some rings for a lifting strap but couldn't find them, empty-handed errands. There's more things he taught me but I can't recall all of them. We'll update if I remember. So you're contemplating divorce and unsure what that looks like. Advice. If you're a BS and contemplating divorce but unsure what that looks like, read on. Also, I'm not a lawyer and this isn't legal advice, I'm directing you to talk to a lawyer. Firstly, I would suggest that you don't act on this from a point of anger. The most important thing is to respond instead of react. Get your emotions under control first. You need to be able to approach this with a clear head and think logically. Treat the actual divorce as a business transaction, not an emotional transaction. Think of it the same as when a business partnership is dissolved. Also, don't leave the house, it can hurt your case in some states. Next, contemplate the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. These will vary based on the laws of your area and things like if children are involved, etc. Best case scenario in a 50-50 state would be that you and the WS both reach a rapid, easy agreement. Worst case scenario is they fight tooth and nail against you. Apply those to your unique set of circumstances. The actual outcome is likely to be somewhere in between. Next, call a lawyer and schedule an initial consultation. This will range from free to a couple $100. Mine was $125. Before the consult, write down all of your assets and their respective values. Try to have a rough idea of who would get what, such as the house, etc. Consider the future tax implications of which of you get to claim the kids, and any other write-off you have. Also, figure out what kind of custody you envision and the logistics of it, such as child transport, school. Consider getting a place close to the school, it could help in court, etc. Ask about spousal maintenance and child support, so know both of your incomes. Also, consider your debts and who gets what debt. Take good notes on all of this as well as any questions you have, such as when/if you can move out or can date others, etc. The night before the consult, get good sleep. During the actual consult, you'll want to discuss the above and how much you're willing to yield during negotiations. Take your kids and pets into consideration during that. Your lawyer will likely suggest that you negotiate for more than you hope to receive. The WS may actually concede a lot of it for a quick resolution, especially if they think they're gonna marry the AP or are deep in the fog of the affair. You can always give up ground in the negotiation, but it is hard to get it back. The house is the tricky thing because usually one of you will want to keep it. If the plan is for one of you to keep it, consider how you or the WS can be bought out of it. For this, you can get comps from a real estate agent to get some ballpark figure on your equity. Consider the cost of a commission to the agent if sold, as that could reduce the equity split. When you have a figure on the split, get an idea of how the buyout would go and who would get other assets to pay for the buyout. If there isn't enough assets, consider negotiating the child support, spousal maintenance, future tax credits if claiming the kids, etc. Your lawyer will probably have ideas you hadn't even considered. You'll likely have to pay a retainer to the lawyer and keep the retainer funded with regular replenishment. If the retainer scares you and you don't have the money, remember that any debts incurred during the marriage are split as well. Now, another thing about debt, you need to become the one who checks the mail from now on. You don't want your WS applying for all sorts of credit cards, so throw away any of those credit offers, or even actual cards they got. If necessary, leave some junk mail in the mailbox if they usually check it, so they have something to find and don't realize you're checking it. Also, ask the lawyer about community waste. This is like when the WS decides to make the AP's car payment, etc. Also, discuss with the lawyer how you want the WS served. If you believe they'll be cooperative, you may want to consider a soft serve. That's where you tell the WS in advance about them being served and may even include discussing what you're expecting the outcome to be. This usually involves them being able to choose where and when to be served. Saving a workplace embarrassment could help you. This also gives you a chance to provide an outcome scenario before they discuss it with a lawyer of their own and get a separate idea that you don't like. The best thing here may be to try and demonstrate how this is a win-win. For example, I figured out how my wife could keep the house like she wants, and so I think she'll be more receptive, especially since I can force the home to be sold. My selling points are that she would be able to keep it, and have full control of its disposition, such as selling it herself later without having to get me to agree to any selling terms. It's hers to move her boyfriend in if she wants, etc. I'll stop here because this is as far as I've gotten with my own divorce process. I have a great lawyer and she feels strongly that we can reach a settlement possibly without a hearing. She believes we could possibly have a decree by July. I'm hoping others who have been further along in the process can add their stories and perhaps any mishaps or pitfalls to watch out for. WW is surrendering her truck back to the bank. Update. So she's been trying to text me casually, but I've been pretty good about grey rocking her, often just outright ignoring her texts. She texted me to say Home Depot had evaporative coolers in stock. We tried to get one during winter when on sale. Asked when I was coming home, cohabitating separate rooms, and even saying to have fun at the water park tomorrow. I was taking the kids. Oh, by the way, dads, water parks are mom central, so plenty of divorced single moms there. Well, today she texted me to say that she's going to turn in her truck, 2019 Ram with $730 payment, so our oldest will have to stop using the old paid-off car with 220k miles. I got to admit, it feels good to see her having to make sacrifices for her actions. Also, I had a long talk with my sister. According to her, the guy my wife is with has had 4 failed marriages. She seems to think he gloms onto women, uses up their money, etc., and moves on. Seems unlikely. Anyways, I told my sister that, in that case, I hope he prods her to settle up on the divorce quickly. I also said I hope they don't break up until I have that paper and have moved on. Edit, just had a talk about this. She's planning to return the truck because she plans to refee the house and can't afford a cash out to pay off the truck and still be able to make the new loan amount. This fits with my plan, which was to get myself off the home. She knew I was looking for another place and didn't intend to stay and pay half the bills while she's out screwing around. I told her that my plan was for her to get the house, but that I needed to get bought out. I have a lot of other liquid assets that she would have to surrender a claim to in order to buy me out. She still comes up short, but the amount, while big, is still trivial to me as I see it as a potential cost of a quick exit. I want to get this hammered out while she's still agreeable. Time and distance has a way of getting people to not value equitable splits. She wasn't very happy about not getting any part of the liquid assets, but I told her she would have 100% of the home and could do as she pleases with it, including keeping it until the kids are all grown or even moving her boyfriend in. I still have my guard up. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.